Well, back. Kind of laughed off my old one before this with, oh, answering for the things you say. Defiling yourself by saying, I don't know, idiotic, stupid things. But I always kind of wondered about that. People talk about stuff that I mean just totally doesn't make any one way, shape, or form to their life, unless that's your job, unless that's what you do for a living. If you're a coach for a football, basketball, yeah, I mean that's your life. You watch, you scout, you train, you develop. I mean, you do all these things. But if you don't, and you sit there and you're an armchair quarterback, drinking your beers and eating your chips and whatever else you do, and you could name off statistics, you could name off this, you could, oh man, all these things, the plays. But my thing's this: that how's that even remotely help you in life? I don't understand it. I mean, if you're a mechanic and you're talking mechanic stuff to other mechanics, or you're in class and they're trying to, give you refresher courses or bring you up to speed on things, okay, I get it. But if you're not a mechanic and you're an accountant, it'd be like, well, I don't understand. I don't even really want to know. I don't really care, which I get. And you understand where I'm going and what I'm saying about it. And God talks about idle, and chit chat things that are, defile you because you say stupid, moronic things. I always kind of wondered about that from the standpoint of this. I'm sure back in, well, I'm not sure. I'm just, man, this is a big, 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 I don't know, guess. Because they were, most a lot of these guys, they were fishermen and so on and so forth. And I could probably, they're sitting around, talking and I don't know, like we would call like goofing off and kidding around with each other, and saying to each other, the fish was this big, I mean, really, when you caught it, it was this big, but then, 10 years later, it's this big, okay. Nah, I mean, it just, are you really lying? No, you're just kidding around, messing around. Everybody's laughing because they all know the truth. You know the truth. You're just messing with people, and you're just goofing off. Everybody's laughing, having a good time. And that's what I kind of wondered about with Jesus. When the disciples are sitting there, apostles are sitting there, he's having dinner, or so, whatever. Or when they were walking and talking and stuff. I mean, did they always walk and talk about God, or did they talk about other things? They had questions which got Jesus answered, but they spent good 3 years with him. And was it totally nothing but scripture and preparing them for what's coming and all that stuff, or was it more kind of, yeah, we talked about that stuff, yes, but did they also sit there and like talk about they throwing a net out, they fell in the water, because it hooked around their ankle and pulled them into the water, and did they laugh, because they thought it was funny, stuff like that, and pick on about so and so a little bit because it happened to him, and then they're just kind of kidding each other and stuff, and things like that. I mean, and then that day, I'm sure they did things that kind of made them chuckle and laugh about things that kind of happened. They were kind of stupid or funny. And did they razz each other about it? Like we would do today. I mean, I'm not talking about being mean or anything. I'm just talking about razz and having fun. Because you're not trying to get somebody mad or pissed off. You're just kidding around and having a good time. I wondered if they did that too. But I can't imagine that being like idle talk. I mean, it is idle talk, but is it a sin? I don't know. I mean, back then, I mean, I'm going to assume, now I wasn't alive back then. We assume everybody, all the men, women too, all had long hair. I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I assume they had to get their hair trimmed up sometimes because the women, I mean, they'd be walking on their hair. I mean, if they never got a haircut, their hair would be dragging behind them, I don't know, 10 foot. I don't know. Or do they just wrap it up and put it up in a thing? I don't know. The men obviously probably had to get their hair cut because it'd be dragging behind them and stuff. Heck, they probably had to trim their beards up because I mean, their beard would be, I don't know, huge. I mean, they get near the fire to get, I don't know, whatever they had back then. The beard could catch fire. So I mean, maybe some guy's beard caught fire one time, and they're all laughing. Hey, remember that time, and they all laugh and stuff. Did that stuff happen? I mean, you know yourself when you're kidding around at work with people, or just kidding around with people at wherever, a get together, a function, or whatever. You're kind of you're bonded. You're coming together, and you're finding out if you like that person or not, and so on and so forth. It's not. Yeah. I mean, God says, don't lie. Well, yeah, everybody knows the fish was this big, but you're saying it's that big, and everybody's laughing because they all know it was the tiniest thing you ever saw. So so hard telling. Just kind of wonders of stupid things like that. That's why they always say, if you had to go back any time in the whole world to visit somebody for a day, who would you go visit? Well, I'd like to visit Jesus Christ. I'd like to go back and just kind of like stand back and maybe interact with him a little bit, and then just observe and see and watch and listen. That'd be, to me, it'd be the most interesting thing in the whole world. That's what I'd want to do. Really, the only ambition I got in life to do something like that. The rest of this stuff is just, we're just caretakers. Look around you. Oh, you got a car that's going to rust out and fall apart and it's worth probably nothing someday. You got a house that needs roofs and windows and repair all the time, and someday it'll be just a pile of rubble someday. The car's going to rust and be a pile of rust someday. It's like we're just caretakers, people. That's all we are. I mean, look. Heck, my shirt's got holes in it. Whoopee. You know, it's just rags. Why do we worry about all this stuff? When we're just caretakers. Everybody, I gotta have all this money. Well, yeah, money's important for right now, sure. But you don't steal and cheat and all these things to get money. Because that's not right. You earn it, and you're fair about it. So that's the biggest thing, is being fair about things. And usually, to be fair, you got to have two sides, and they have to agree on something. And then one side says, "Well, that's fair," and they go, "Well, that's fair for me." Well, that's great, wonderful. You just worked an agreement out. So yeah, I think that stuff. People, they want to complicate life to the point to where they feel, well, they create a position and a job for themselves because they try to keep things so complicated that they have to intervene to explain to the dummies. When the truth of the matter is they're the dummies. There's plenty of guys throughout history that would trade with, let's just say the Indians, for instance, maybe the Hung, and the Vikings and stuff like that. There's always these opposing sides, and somebody had to be an intermediary to trade, to get this, to get that, blah blah blah. And there was always somebody that could work with somebody. So it couldn't have been all bad. Somebody had to do something stupid to create an enemy somewhere. I mean, it's like being in Africa. You see rhinos and elephants and hippos and all these dangerous animals. I mean, they can be seriously dangerous. And you stand enough at a distance, they know you're there. Hell, they knew that you were there before you knew they were. And they're just going about their business, fine, and nothing, no harm, nobody's going to get hurt. They're just going about it. Now, you push it, you get closer and closer to them, thinking they're like a pet. Bad things are going to happen. It's not the animal's fault. It's your fault because you're being stupid. Now, sometimes there's animals out there that are hungry. Maybe just got some taste of blood because they just killed something, and they're just like crazy right now. And they see you and they want to attack you. That is one of those situations where you're going to have to defend yourself. But most people don't really want to do that. Most people would rather observe the animal because it's a beautiful animal, majestic and just amazing. And you'd want to just stand back and admire it. Some people have to have things to hang on the wall. Well, I'd rather have it roam the prairie so somebody else can enjoy seeing it. So maybe it has some offspring here and there, and we have more of them, and we all can enjoy it. My point being is sometimes even those things can get crazy and come at you, and you have to defend yourself. I think people have a little more reasoning and so on and so forth, that they see somebody that's different than them, like when the white man, the Europeans came to, they say, Plymouth Rock. You all know the history you're taught. Whether it's true or not is one thing. And they definitely look different. They definitely dress different. And they talk different. There's a big lack of communication there. We didn't jump off the ship and start killing them, and then when we got off the ship, they didn't just start killing us. They probably stood back and watched. Somebody sees one of them, goes, "Oh, yeah, somebody's over there." And then they see them. Everybody sees each other. And then people are like, "Well, what do we do?" Well, I mean, I don't know. Let's maybe take a loaf of bread over here and set it on the rock and walk away and see if they can come out and check it out. I don't know. I'm just using that as an example. And those people come out and they look at it and they go, "Wow, bread. It's like, what's this? And they smell it, they pound on it, whatever they do, and then they taste it and they go, "Wow, that's pretty good." Well, then next thing you know, they take something of theirs and they put it on the rock and watch you come walk up to it and you try it. And that starts some communication. You can't talk, you can't speak, you know what the other person is doing. But then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I see something they left for us over there, so you go over and get it. And you leave something for them, and after a while you kind of build kind of a trust. And one day they walk out there and they hold these things up like, come here, we want you to, and they're taking a big chance now. Or you walk out there and hold stuff up like a basket or whatever. And they come out, they're a little leery because now we're getting closer. And then all of a sudden they kind of, you give them this basket of stuff in it, all right? And they go, wow. Then they come out and give you stuff. And then after a while, it's face to face, and we're not leery of you now because, you haven't done anything bad to us. You've given us this, and we're giving you that. And then you try to communicate, and then you kind of figure a few things out here and there on each side. And that's good. That's good. I don't know really where I was going with that. But I'm just saying, just because you see something new and different, like an animal, and the animal's off at a distance, and if you're stupid, you go out there and you provoke the animal to defend itself, or it's young or whatever, you're going to have a problem that you didn't have to create by keeping your distance. After a while, the animals, if they're out there every day in this one spot and they see you all the time after I don't know, a month, 2 months, you're like, okay, they might start actually getting closer to you because they're curious about you and you're curious about them. Same thing, they kind of get a little trust level maybe going. I can tell you from cattle, well, anything, but mainly cattle. There are some cattle you just walk up to and pet them like a pet, just like a dog. You just pet them and they love it. Some you can't get near them and they spook and they just run off. Some walk right up to you and they're just like, pet me. They're like a pet and they follow you around. They love it when you just like that on them. They like it. It's interesting, isn't it? How God can do these things. See, all glory goes to God, period. Doesn't matter. You may think you have this Dr. Doolittle crap. But all glory goes to God on this stuff. Everything does. We just take ourselves too serious. So anyways, before I start coughing my fool head off here, y'all take care and keep praying for each other. I'm rooting for you.